Have you guys actually watched any of these movies not movies, videos, chat? Have you guys ever seen these videos that show like how things actually are in like Venezuela and Zimbabwe and like Weimar Republic post-inflation? Like they're actually fucking insane. Where you see people like they'll have people, chat, trying to grocery shop, and they'll have like wheelbarrows full of money, and you think, wait a minute, is that safe to have a wheelbarrow full of cash? Wouldn't someone be tempted to rob you if you did that in the United States? Probably, right? But the reason why is, chat, the money's so fucking worthless that like you have to carry that much on you, chat, to get like some milk and eggs in those countries. Because the corporations are like, yo, we don't want this fucking worthless money. You guys just keep printing more of it. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna give away our goods for this money so that you guys can just print more? No, we're just gonna raise the price. You know what I mean? So like, you actually see people. Hold on. Zimbabwe. Let's see. Wonder if we can, hold on, Zimbabwe's currency crisis, the worthless 100 trillion. Let's just watch this right quick. See if we can learn something.
This video is sponsored by Ting. Start paying only for the data you actually use.
Sometimes you come to the stream to learn.
$25 off with the link in the description.
Yeah. 3,000. Press 1 for $3,000 eggs, boys. That's where we're going, chat. Zimbabwe style. What do you know what? Actually, I think the only thing to own when you get into an economy like that is actually property. Because people always need a house to live in.
Life in Zimbabwe has never been easy.
Let's learn something.
Since its independence, the southern African country has seen factional violence, international sanctions, and rampant political instability. But in the mid-2000s, it lost something even more fundamental: its currency. Surviving meant waking up as early as 2 in the morning, trekking to the nearest ATM, and then waiting in line. On a good day, you'd be able to withdraw the equivalent of about $1 or $2 US.
Did they just say wake up at 2 in the morning to go to a fucking ATM to withdraw $2? Wow. Wake up at 2 in the morning, chat, to stand in line at an ATM to withdraw $2.
Maximum allowed by the government. Or you might find, after losing sleep and waiting for hours, that no more money was left. That's because around 2007, Zimbabwe experienced the second highest inflation in history, after post-war Hungary. It's hard to know exactly how bad it got, as the government stopped reporting numbers after 100,000% inflation, when a loaf of...
What the fuck?
For
oh, no, hold on. 100,000% inflation? To put it in context, chat, I believe that the United States peaked at 9% last year. 100,000%. How is that even possible?
As the government stopped reporting numbers after 100,000% inflation,
Bro.
when a loaf of bread cost 30 billion Zimbabwean dollars. Employees stopped going to work. This video is sponsored.
I was trying to type in the chat. I'm sorry. $30 billion for bread.
Their bus ride home, and vending machines were put out of service.
Sorry.
It cost 30 billion Zimbabwean dollars.
I'm a billionaire.
Employees stopped going to work when their annual salary wouldn't even pay for their bus ride home. And vending machines were put out of service, unable to hold the billions of coins that a single can of soda would cost.
That's me.
To keep up, the central bank kept printing bigger and bigger banknotes. $1 million, 100 billion, and finally 100 trillion, worth a whole 40 US cents.
They printed $100 trillion bill, bro. $100 trillion bill. That's only worth 40 cents.
So how did Zimbabwe get here? And how did this devastating economic crisis help launch Africa's financial technology revolution?
Crazy, chat.
Zimbabwe is home to the largest waterfall in the world, Victoria Falls, over twice the
Oh, that's
height
nice.
of Niagara and whose tumbling water can be heard 40 kilometers or 25 miles away.
Dang.
Further south are the intricate stone ruins of an 11th century palace city, and savannas everywhere in between hold Africa's big five: lions, leopards, elephants, buffalo, and rhinos.
Okay.
Unfortunately, few will ever get to see these wonders. Because, in addition to being blessed with natural beauty, Zimbabwe is also cursed with an abundance of gold, platinum, coal, and diamonds. All things which led Cecil Rhodes of the British South Africa Company to invade the land with a newly invented Maxim gun at the end of the 19th century. The company-run territory was almost entirely governed and exploited by the tiny white minority. Years later, two rival factions emerged.
Thanks a lot, white people in the chat. You did this. You know what? My brother once said, chat, my brother was like, the Congo in Africa should be the richest country in the world because of all their natural resources, but they didn't have like the infrastructure to fucking like take advantage of it. Kind of seems like Zimbabwe's like that, chat, doesn't it? He just said Zimbabwe is cursed with gold and silver. And I'm like, bro, that's not a curse. That should make you rich as shit. But they got robbed. Other countries came in with guns. Was like, yeah, that shit's ours now, bro. I'm not
Zimbabwe's
white.
African People's Union, supported by the Soviet Union, and the National Union, backed by Mao's China. In 1980, Zimbabwe gained its independence, and the National Party won its first election.
1980?
Almost immediately, with the spirit of nationalism strong, leader Robert Mugabe began doing what all good dictators do: consolidate power. His army, trained by North Korea under Kim Il-sung, began murdering dissidents. He granted himself the power to dissolve parliament, declare martial law, and removed all term limits.
Monka!
Mugabe's authoritarian...
What? The first thing he did was kill everyone who could oppose him and remove term limits. Wow. Bro. That'd be like, you guys know how there's 2 term limits for a president? That'd be like if the president was like, first bill of order, no more term limits. I'm president forever. Bro. It's fucking
rule
crazy.
lasted 37 years, just 4 short of Africa's record, and teemed with corruption. He once accidentally let slip that his opponent had won 73% of the vote in the last election before quickly correcting himself. This insatiable thirst for power had more than political consequences. In 2000, his government began forcibly seizing land from white farmers for redistribution. Officially, the goal was to correct for the country's unjust colonial past.
Yeah, take that.
In reality, the policy helped him buy political support. The effects were devastating. The new farmers usually had little or no experience and sometimes no interest in agriculture. From 2000 to 2009, total agricultural output was cut in half, with some farms producing only a tenth as much as before. By wiping out its 2 largest crops, corn and tobacco, land reform both single-handedly destroyed its economy and decimated its food supply. Meanwhile, many of its skilled farmers fled for safety. As farms became less productive and demand for the little food left rose, so did prices, and fast. Daily inflation reached 98%, and Zimbabwe's economy totally collapsed. Shops, if they were still open, increased prices multiple times a day as 12 million people struggled to find food, water, and power. Now, to slow inflation, a government must do 2 things.
Print money.
First, it has to stop printing money. Basic economics says increasing money in circulation simply decreases its value. Second, and much harder, is a government has to convince its people that its currency has value. Mugabe did neither. To fund its involvement in the Second Congo War, the Reserve Bank kept printing new, higher denominations, but it just couldn't keep up. The bank spent $500,000 a week ordering new banknotes, which by the time they arrived from Germany were already worthless. Twice it...
Bro! They spent $500,000 a week, and by the time the money got to them, it was already worthless. That's like the opposite of infinite money glitch, chat. That's like infinitely losing money glitch. Wow.
Redenominated, removing 10 zeros from all banknotes in 2008.
Yeah. They were literally spending money to lose money. What? That's like the opposite of what every person in the world should do. They were spending money to like lose money. The fuck? Like, who's running this country?
12 in 2009, but to no avail. Zimbabweans didn't believe their currency had value, and therefore it didn't. In other words, prices kept rising largely because people expected them to. And soon, no more money was left. There just weren't enough bills to go around. And that's when Zimbabwe got creative. Like much of Africa, the vast majority of its population is unbanked. In advanced economies, about 92% of people have some kind of bank account, but that number is only 20% in sub-Saharan Africa.
Rip.
Here, where the number of transactions is high, but balances are low, branch locations and ATMs just aren't very profitable, leaving Zimbabwe with 6.5 ATMs per 100,000 people, Uganda with 4.2, and Niger with 1.7, compared to the United States' 174, or Macau's 324. Zimbabweans lacked the infrastructure necessary to keep money safe, or transfer it between people. Not only does this hide the flow of money, granting cover to criminals and making it impossible for the government to regulate or tax it, but it's also physically dangerous. Many who live in cities regularly send money to family members in the country, requiring they take a 1 or 2 day journey themselves or hire someone to do it for them, and risk having it stolen. But while this lack of banks would ordinarily only slow the continent's technological progress, African entrepreneurs turned it into an advantage. What it does have a lot of are phones. In many of its countries, total mobile phone penetration stands at 80%. These two things allowed countries like Zimbabwe to leapfrog over checks and credit cards, and then surpass more advanced economies in mobile payments. In places like the US, the ubiquity of banks and credit cards actually holds back new technologies. Tapping or texting would make sending money much easier, but first, you and I need the same app. Hence why there are so many competitors: Chase Pay, Google Pay, Square Wallet, PayPal, Apple Cash, Cash App, Zelle, and Venmo. The hard part isn't building the app, it's hitting a critical mass of users. In Africa, the selling point was obvious: either take a 2-day bus ride or send a text. And because many of its countries are dominated by a telecom monopoly, that company can ensure quick and universal adoption. In 2007, for example, Kenya's largest mobile network operator, Safaricom, launched M-Pesa, M for mobile and Pesa meaning money. Each M-Pesa user is associated with a SIM card, allowing them to text anyone else money. There's no charge to sign up or deposit, and fees are minimal. But what's truly revolutionary is that it doesn't require a bank account. To deposit or withdraw, you simply find an agent, over 100,000 middlemen who get paid to collect and then bring cash to banks, or take out cash for when users withdraw or transfer money. It's so convenient that it's used for almost everything: school fees, water, electricity, food, and so on. In Zimbabwe, the preferred app is called EcoCash, which in 2007 had 6.7 million users, compared to its 2 million bank accounts. That year, the Reserve Bank reported digital payments accounted for 90% of its $97.5 billion in total transactions, making its economy virtually cashless. Even digital currency, however, isn't immune to political incompetence. As a landlocked country, Zimbabwe relies on its powerful rivers for water and electricity. The Kariba Dam alone provides over half of the nation's electricity, making its frequent droughts extremely dangerous. In July, EcoNet generators failed to start after a power outage, disabling its mobile payment platform, and therefore, effectively, the national economy. Lifting a nation out of poverty is so difficult not for a lack of resources, but rather because solutions require deep political changes. To rebuild its economy, Zimbabwe must first manage its inflation. To manage inflation, it has to build confidence, and to do that, its government requires reform. That hope came in 2007 when Mugabe was deposed after nearly 4 decades of economic ruin. But fear promptly returned when this year Zimbabwe reintroduced its dollar, and inflation again began increasing. Yet, even while countries like Zimbabwe clearly still have plenty of unresolved challenges, those very same problems are sometimes the necessary ingredients for innovation. Mobile money is, at best, a convenience for most of us, but for the world without bank accounts, it's life-changing. By making transactions faster and more secure, apps like M-Pesa literally increase the value of money. Theft is reduced, there's less waiting in line or time spent delivering money, credit is more accessible to entrepreneurs, it increases savings, and improves accountability.
There you go.
Africa is the world leader in mobile money precisely and only because it previously had so far to come. As the youngest continent, and on the receiving end of massive amounts of loans, its financial revolution is just the beginning. What's genius about M-Pesa is how it piggybacked on existing technology. Phones were widespread, and SIM cards and carriers were well established in Africa. Likewise, the expensive part of cell service, towers, and equipment has already been built by big companies like T-Mobile and Sprint. Ting can help you save money by using those exact same networks in the US.
What the Kappa? Press 1 if commercial. This is an ad now. What the Kappa? This turned into an ad to use Ting.
The truth is, Wi-Fi is everywhere. We spend most of our day at home, school, work, and shopping.
This just turned into an ad.
The same 2 or 5 or 10 gigabytes a month. With Ting,
I
you
see
only pay
you
for exactly what you use, so it's a good way to save money. The average bill is $23 a month, and if you use my link in the description, you get a $25 credit.
Press 1 chat if we all learned something. That is... I really enjoy videos like this, chat. That is wild. A country had 100,000% inflation. Like, how? The United States had 9% last year, and it was our highest rate in 40 years. This country had 100,000%, and they said that they had to raise prices multiple times a day, and the people in stores quit because the amount of money they were getting paid wouldn't even cover the bus fare. People were going to ATMs at 2 in the morning because I think they said per 100,000 people, it was like 6 ATMs on average, chat, per 100,000 people, which is just like, yeah. And you could only request up to $2 American equivalent out because the government put a limit. This is insane. Like, I don't even know how they survived that shit, but there you guys go, chat. This is like the greatest story of hyperinflation ever. And it looks like it all started because of a dictator who basically killed everyone who could oppose him and then took term limits off. And then they said that he drove out the white farmers and put black farmers in place. But then the black farmers didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So they only produced 10% of what the white farmers could do. So it's just like, that was a real three-head move. You know what I mean? He's just, no, that's not me. I invest in big oil, but like I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna. I'm no. Oh no, yeah, I'm not me. Anyways, that could have been Trump. No, you can't. So, dude, isn't it crazy how like these dictators get in power in these countries, and you wonder like, how did that happen? How did no one kill them? And I guess it's because one of the first things they do, because like if you guys ever watch like Narcos on like Netflix, I guess one of the first things you try to do, chat, is you try to get people who have like military power, right? Because those are like the people who could oppose you, right? Like who can actually just kill you? Probably the military, and you just pay them off. It's like, hey, you can, or don't oppose me, and I'll just cut you in on the deal. Because you're just like, yo, how does one person get that much power where they can just like run an entire country by force? Like, why doesn't someone just kill them? Why doesn't other people just oppose them? It's just like, well, you just buy everybody off, you know? Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. You pay the people who can kill you. Like, and then the average Joe is irrelevant because like the average Joe doesn't have any military power, chat. Like, it'd be like me. I don't have any authority. Like, I can't fight the United States military. But it'd be like if you paid off the Secretary of Defense. Okay, well, as long as I have him, he can control the military. We're good. You know what I mean? Like, he's the number one threat to me. Let's get him on my side by giving him as much money he could possibly want. Then he'll just look the other way. Dude, it's crazy.